So, I don't think Akame was that bad this week. Don't think it was bad last week either. But they clearly, the problems still consist. Problems are still in Akame got kill, but they're not as severe as they used to be. Like, the entire mood switching thing is nowhere near as severe as it used to be. It's still a problem, but it doesn't happen like every single scene. I think the main problem that White Fox is still having, that would, in my opinion, I have the anime at a 5.5 now after this episode, because it's not in the 4 range, because it's not bad, it's just mediocre, maybe average. I mean, I can understand people giving it maybe like a 6, but I personally can't give it really more than like a 5, maybe like a 5.5, because I think if it's above average, it's just slightly above average, and I think that's only because of the gore. But the problem with the gore is that the blood sometimes just looks like, how should I say this, like paint? It's just like they just threw like Play-Doh or clay on top of each other, and they're just like, yeah, there's your blood. But I will say the sound effects. That was something that I think I had in my notes. When I was regarding the sound, I was like, the art. The art is really generic, but the sound effects are fine. I do like the sound effects. They work, and they're good. So I don't understand. It's like the show is like lopsided in some places. It's like the animation is somewhat lacking. The art is really generic, and in a lot of places it just looks bad. Like The Rock in this episode. Like, my god. But the sound effects always work. Just like when they were breaking The Rock. In that exact same scene, it looked bad, but it sounded great. So I think one of the things that White Fox has got to fix is just, my god, the art. Just, it's not that hard to fix. It doesn't look like... I've read the manga. I've read a bit of the manga, and the manga doesn't look that bad. But they have some issues with presentation. And I think that's something that they're going to have to fix. So, one of my things from this episode is that we finally get a backstory on Lubok, and I think some people call him Rabok. I don't know which one it is. Is it Lubok or is it Rabok? Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But regardless, he gets a backstory, and I think his backstory is interesting in a way, but I don't think he has enough development. As a character, a lot of, just characters in general, a lot of them are really static in the show. Or they developed just slightly, and that was early on. Like, Tatsumi didn't really develop after he joined Night Raid. He was just like, well, he developed like a couple of episodes in, but he barely developed at all. Mine hasn't developed, Akame hasn't really developed, Kurumi hasn't developed, Wave hasn't developed. It's like everybody is really just kind of static, not as if like they're dull. They're not flat. Most of them are pretty dynamic. It's just that they're just static. They don't really change in terms of development or character at all. They just sit there. I don't know. So I know at the beginning there were a couple of cliches, but in my bit, like when he walked in, when like one of the danger beasts just like broke into the house and he killed the girl and stuff, I was like, this is kind of cliche. But I was like, for this show, it actually kind of works. It's just not anything special, which I think, like I said earlier, it's not as if now the show is bad. It could possibly get worse. It could possibly go back to a 4. But I don't think right now it's bad. I think it's just below average to mediocre. I don't think it's really as if, like, no, you really shouldn't watch this. If you watch this, you're going to be torturing yourself. I think now it's just, like, it's not really worth the watch. I think that's really more of a problem. I will say this, though. There was some nice camera work. They did shoot some nice angles. I know that some people are just gonna be like, they just shook the camera, but I was like, well, it paid off nice, because the shaking of the camera actually looked kind of good. Other than that, I think I just have one thing to end off on, and this is really the transitions. And other than like the extremely fast like transitions from scene to scene, which I've brought up before, I think that's something that's the White Fox's issue. They need to fix that. It's like you transition from one scene to the next scene, and there is like no transition scene in between. It's just like, it's just like when you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, how are you going? Good, I'm doing good. Where are you gonna go today? I don't know where I'm gonna go. You need a pause in between conversations and scenes, and I think it's lacking one. But that's not I don't feel like that's the source material's fault. That's just White Fox's fault on adapting it. Last thing, like that connects to this point, is that random comedic moment in the middle when they talked about like Tatsumi having us fly down. it just didn't fit. Like, they hyped you up for, like, something really serious, and it's really like a fly joke. Like, if it was just like a comedic episode, it would have been different. But the thing was just that I understand what the point of fitting it in there was for, to show Chelsea what Night Ray was like, but it's just, it shouldn't have been there. I don't feel as if like that scene fit in that moment at all. I think that could have been saved for another scene where they showed her that Chelsea what Night Ray was like, but it wasn't bad. It was like last week's episode was meh, and then this week's episode was meh. So it's like it's a better meh. It's not a bad meh. It's progressively getting better, and I'm fine with it as long as it progressively gets better. I'd rather have this show be just mediocre to average rather than them going back to episode 6 and that disaster that I don't even want to talk about. Regardless of what people think, I still think that episode is a train wreck. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment. I think I'm going to have Karin, Senki, and SAO up today if I have the time. I just didn't feel like recording them yesterday. That was really it. I had no motivation. I didn't want to seem depressed. It was Mahoka ending still got me depressed a bit. But I'll see you guys later. Deuces.